Hey guys, so I'm gonna do a recap of the first episode of the Halo TV show for season 2. So it starts off with Master Chief getting disconnected from Cortana to bring him back. And I guess Cortana is not there anymore, that's what it seems like. So then they go to Sanctuary, where Silver Team is trying to evacuate civilians. The members of Silver Team, Vanak and Riz, start talking to each other about the pellets, since they also took them out, and Vanak starts saying how he's been watching animal programs, and throughout the TV show, throughout the episode, he makes references to different animals. So the villagers, the people here, are sort of religious, and they kind of want to stay there while the UNSC is trying to make them leave. And apparently the UNSC made them leave before their homes and then relocated them there, and now they're making them leave and they just want to stay there. So tensions get high, but they just decide to stay. Then the chief wanders off and there's a sort of communication blackout. Then he finds out that there's Marines around, but they start shooting at him because they don't see. However, they don't make a use of the motion tracker for some reason. But then they all get ambushed and taken apart by camo elites, and some pretty epic scenes do happen. So the chief fights the elites, leading to eventually only one Marine surviving, and then he sees the Master Chief, he sees Maquis. Is it a vision? We're not sure, but it might be. Maybe something to do with the connection they had. And then one of the leaders tries to go for him, but they sort of stop, and then they retreat, and then the planet gets glassed, which leads to them trying to evacuate everyone, but not everyone can make it. Not everyone wants to make it. Some of them get shot down, and then they return to Reach. Then they're getting debriefed by Keyes, and the Master Chief is trying to tell them what happened, but they won't take him seriously about the elites retreating and all of that. And Ackerson comes and introduces himself, and then he becomes the head of the Spartans instead of Halsey. But he kind of starts trying to be a good guy, but eventually he just turns out to be a jerk. And obviously this doesn't even follow the Halo lore, where Ackerson wasn't really involved with the Spartan 2s in that way. His personality is also different. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk and all of that, but this is more antagonistic to be antagonistic. Then on the rubble, they're trying to do a 1v1, but not a fight. Rather, who's more valuable. So you have this criminal and then this guy from Harvest, he says. And they decide to take the criminal and not the Harvest guy, who's a merchant who's been a refugee. But then he says that he knows where Halsey is, so he gets taken away quietly. So on Reach, Ackerson and the Master Chief talk. At first it's fine, but then Ackerson starts to get sort of a jerk. I'm not sure how else to put it. Ackerson is trying to, John is trying to respect Ackerson and all of that, but Ackerson is basically taking Chief as this crazy man who's getting hallucinations and all of that, and it starts sort of leading to making the Spartan 2 seem as if they were useless, which this doesn't happen in lore. In lore, Ackerson doesn't like the Spartan 2s because he doesn't like Halsey. He wants his Spartans. Sure, there's parallels here, but it's not quite the same, and the personalities are a shadow of what they are in the actual lore. And even John gets so aggressive for no reason. Then on the TV thing, propaganda starts playing, and then Silver Team is all in disbelief. They want the truth to be heard instead of just propaganda, where they are saying that they rescued all of the survivors and all of that. And then Ackerson even comes out and is all yes, Silver Team were heroes and all of that, but they were sent there because they were supposed to not see any combat. So then you have this other Spartan 2 team, and it's Cobalt team. This is a new team of Spartans. Instead of going by the colors, you're going by medals. And for some reason, they're weirdly antagonistic towards Silver Team. In canon, the Spartans are sort of like, they respect each other, they're siblings. But in this, they're just antagonistic, being like, oh, you guys are being treated like heroes. So this doesn't really make sense. They're just up at each other for some weird reason. And again, with the pellets, oh, they're being like, oh, they're emotional now, etc. So this really doesn't go well with like who the Spartans were. They were siblings, they respected each other, they cared for each other. Afterwards, John goes back to Ackerson and tries to plead with him to tell Cobalt that they're basically going to be walking into a trap in the comm relay thing that went down for their next mission. There's like this thing that goes on, and he still cares for the other Spartans, even though they were weirdly antagonistic. But Ackerman shoots him down again. So then John goes to see Parangoski in an elevator where they talk, and this is so weird. Parangoski takes the fall for Halsey and is no longer an admiral. But the thing is, this is just such a character assassination for Parangoski. Parangoski was this scary woman who, if you were in a room with her, you would be afraid, terrified. She was powerful and she was in command of everything. And then she's just reduced to being weak and stuff, but she does offer John help. She wants intel and that she'll believe him. But this is not who Parangoski is. So his Soren's kid talks to him about like monsters in the dark trying to get him, and then he comforts his kid, and then he goes on with the Harvest guy to the ship where Halsey is supposedly at. But it turns out it's a trap and he gets arrested. So yeah, and then his crew leaves him. So then John goes to this weird therapist AI that takes the form of Cortana, but not really. And it's some sort of weird pay system. It's like a companion bot, a chatbot therapist. But then he starts saying how maybe he's going crazy or something. A part of him is missing. And then he gets mad when she asks for more money because the session's over and he leaves. This honestly tries to handle the Master Chief's emotions, but not in a way which is accurate to canon and to who he is. Yeah, in Halo Forge, he mourns the loss of Cortana, at the end, but this isn't the same thing. These are two different people, completely. And then the episode ends with Quan Ha basically talking to the kid, Soren's kid, about the monsters in the dark who are gonna take everything he loves away from him. And there's these weird cave paintings as well. So overall, this episode had way better action, really good action, especially at the beginning. With the ambush to lead, some of the visuals are great, but it still follows the same pattern of not being true to the characters in canon, to the events. The planets, they start getting glassed sort of all at once, the other colonies. And this is late in the year, 6 months. This takes place 6 months after season 1. Halsey is gone. There's the bounty on Halsey. John is coping with the loss of Cortana, but it's not the same as, in canon. The characters are very different. They act different. It's they try to take parts of their personality, but it sort of twists the personality that they have. And it's definitely not the same motivations, the same ways, the same, sure, planets are mentioned, they have the same name, but it's not really them or the events. Even so, Madrigal gets glassed. That's one of the planets that also gets taken away. All of that for nothing. We didn't even see Madrigal get attacked or glassed, which sucks. the Spartans are mad at Keyes and stuff, and no one's taking the Master Chief seriously. The whole, oh, he's going crazy, etc. Sure, there's some parallels to the games, but it's really not done the canon way, the real way that it should be done. So honestly, it still deviates from canon. It's sort of like this whole other story, which would be good, probably be good, if it wasn't Halo. The visuals are nice, but it's just not what Halo is. Change the characters, change the visuals to something equally good, then you have a good independent TV show probably. But this is just not the core of what Halo is. It's like something that's taking Halo and just taking the skin of Halo, not necessarily taking what makes it real itself, if that makes sense. It's also odd, I guess, that Soren's trying to take like indentured slaves, basically like they work for 2 years for him, etc., and then they're free. It's slavery. So there's that as well. The action was definitely nice. I'll definitely say that though. Like I said earlier, is it worth it for the action? Maybe if you use a free trial on your Game Pass Ultimate, you could binge watch it later. They did actually a pretty good job with the elites in the action. Season 1 also had good, right? But some parts were sort of at the end it got sort of hit and miss. But this was really good with the combat. But I don't know, motion trackers weren't always there for some reason. And another thing that bothered me was also how the Spartans, Silver Team, and Cobalt Team, they were like fighting each other verbally. This shouldn't be happening, that's not what the Spartans are. The Spartans are siblings. There's also a lot of spirituality. There's mention of, there's this one Christian guy, then there's these other, the shaman at the beginning of the villagers. They were like telling Master Chief, he was telling Master Chief to like find something to believe in and so on to believe. So there's more spirituality in this in a way as well. And overall, the action was pretty good. The characters hit or miss, sort of. Still character assassinations. I think it starts off better than season 1 in my opinion. So that's my review and analysis, sort of a recap of the first episode. Be on the lookout for episode 2.